Hello again, I am Blunty, Pokemon player going all the way back to Pokemon Blue, where me and my Squirtle Donnie, named for the Ninja Turtle, I walked a path from mocking my best mate for playing a dumb little kiddie game, to being someone who enjoyed the series so much I'm one of those jackasses who buys the game twice in every generation, just so I can own both version alternatives. And I still do that. And these days I excuse that horrific behaviour by convincing myself that it's handy to have one version digitally and the other version physically. So yeah, I am that guy. Judge me as you will. I've also spent the past 7 or 8 years now streaming, amongst other things, every new Pokemon game as it came out, doing replays of older games, doing replays of the other games I already streamed, doing gimmick playthroughs, and generally having a great time sharing Pokemon gameplay, Pokemon stories, and Pokemon secrets with my Twitch peeps. It is a fantastically fun series to stream. Pokemon is a deep thread in my gaming life, stretching back through decades of my life, and at least once a year, a fair chunk of my work as a content creator. And I'm not alone in having a story like this, of course. Pokemon is, after all, the world's largest franchise. It outsells Hello Kitty, it outsells Winnie the Pooh, it outsells Mickey Mouse, it outsells Star Wars, and Mario himself. Harry Potter is a fractional worth compared to Pokemon. The entire Marvel Cinematic Universe makes significantly less than a third of the bank that Pokemon brings in every year. And yet, the core game, the heart of the franchise, the beating heart, the spark of life, the very soul seed from which this incomprehensibly profitable franchise sprang, in this year of 2022 offers up to its fanbase as the newest Prime entry, this. This is the pinnacle of 2.5 decades of evolution of the franchise. This 2022. Now, I've seen it blasted about over the weekend in various places as the concept starts to go viral. Now that the game's launched Friday a few days ago and the launch reviews are all out, that Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet are the lowest rated mainline game from critical reviews. And man, what a headline, what an attention grabber, what a shocking statement. These brand new games are the lowest rated Pokemon games there has ever been in the mainline series. Oh my gosh, they must be so terrible. Gotta click on that and find out what that's about. It's a lie. It's not true, by the way. It is a flat out lie. You can prove it's a lie by doing 3 seconds of Googling yourself and finding lower rated Pokemon games from the mainline series. In fact, as it stands, the lowest rated mainline game based on a critical review aggregate is Pokemon Emerald. It is rated at just 76, while Scarlet and Violet are at 77. Sure, it's just one measly point, but if you're gonna slam a game based on an averaged number from an idiotic claim that the quality of what to most will be a 30 to 60 hour long game experience can be summed up by a single number, well, you clearly think those numbers matter, so a lower number, even by 1 unit, also matters. Also, that is not even the lowest rated mainline game. Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are. And here's where you can argue like a pedantic twat on if a remake of a core series game still counts as a core series game. Doesn't really matter. Emerald, of course, absolutely is a main series game, and I've already shown you that score makes the initial claim a lie anyway. So, now's the part where you suggest, well, it's, the user reviews are terrible, look at the user reviews, 2.6, the user reviews, look at them. Well, we don't speak about those because we all know user reviews are entirely useless these days, completely useless these days because of the, let's call it quote-unquote culture, of review bombing the shit out of something for whatever hot-button issue some dipshit manages to get snowballing among easily influenced mob mentality drones. It happens extremely frequently these days. It's always eventually reversed when real people start leaving real reviews who aren't pissy about the inclusion of a rainbow flag in the game somewhere or some stupid bullshit or whatever reason it gets reviewed bombed for. User reviews are useless. Deal with that fact. So, It is demonstrably not the lowest rated Pokemon mainline game ever, and even if it was, once more, anyone who thinks the fun factor of a game can or should be represented by a number out of another number is a moron with such a catastrophically reductionist thinking process that I struggle to comprehend how they live their lives. 77 out of 100 is a useless number, especially when averaged from a bunch of disparate reviews from different places by different people without any of the context that informed the idiot writer to reduce their emotional and technological reactions to a video game to a single number in the first place anyway. Now, that rant out of the way, and guess what? I played just under 50 hours of Pokemon Violet in the first 3 days of release, and I had a goddamn blast doing it. Oh sure, it's a mess, and an insult to the very concept of the money that the franchise brings in every single year, and has once again exposed just how bad Game Freak are at actually making games. And they always have been. Like, every Pokemon game has had glitches and bugs and broken bits and just stupid decisions. They've all been just broken and terrible in some way. Every last one of them from Game Freak. Every one of them. Their ideas, people? Well, they're pretty good. I mean, a lot of the ideas they put in these games are pretty interesting, if not genius. Their code, people? I think they might not actually hire people for that job. I think they mostly hire brain-damaged ducks and small rodents with substance abuse issues. Check this out. Someone discovered that if you connect a second controller to your Switch, to this single-player game, and you press forward on both controllers, the game's engine, for some reason, just makes the player character run at double speed. Oh, you twice the inputs, twice the controllers? Okay, let's make you run twice as fast. Let's go, son! I'm fast as frack! That is not the coding of a developer who knows what the shitting Christ they are doing. That is baby dev day one mistake shit. And from a QA point of view, when you're testing a game, testing two controllers inputting at once is, again, right at the top of the list of things you start checking. I have personally had 3 hard crashes, not while doing anything weird. I wasn't trying to do like a weird exploit or save scum or anything like that. I was just playing the game. Once it crashed for zero reason or trigger I could see at that time. Once I had it crash while hatching an egg. And I had it crash once while the game was trying to send me back to the overworld after I'd finished a gym match. I suspect there is something very broken with the autosave system, as 2 of these things trigger a save. And maybe that first crash was about to try and do the same thing. I didn't notice it trying to do a save, but it might have been doing a save, and that's maybe why it crashed. It has been suggested there is a severe memory leak in the game because performance gets worse and worse and worse the longer you play, and saving and restarting the game seems to fix that for a little while. So maybe my crashes and this issue I suspect of the save system is overlapping with a memory leak thing. I don't know coding well enough to guess at that, but yeah, it's broken. There's glitches, lots of them. The camera will clip through the world sometimes. There's this thing that happened while I was trying to use the extremely shitty traversal mechanics on the ride-on Pokemon. Seriously, have you tried to use this thing? Climbing and jumping and flying up a mountain, it just glitches out it's just so badly done. So badly done. It needs so much work. I've had multiple occasions where Pokemon, or indeed whole herds of Pokemon, were spawning not on the map itself, but under it, or inside the geometry of the world, often completely out of reach, which is a big problem in a game like Pokemon when you can't get to the Pokemon that it's spawning in for you to catch, and hopefully you don't spawn a shiny inside a mountain. Sometimes they're just clipping through enough that I could trigger an encounter by hucking a ball at them. But mostly I could just sort of hear them, and the auto-targeting would sort of point towards them. They're inside the mountainside there. I can't get to them in any which way. Oh, there are some areas on the map where Pokemon spawn that just walking to them can't be done right because the slope of the world and the way traversal works mean you're just sliding all over the place and you can't actually get to the Pokemon. No matter what traversal system you try and use, you just sort of glitch through and around them and no. While recording some background for this very video, I had a bug that attached the phone to floating attached in front of my face for some reason. One of my regulars on Twitch had a thing where his minimap just broke and it slammed all the icons on his character's face instead. There is tremendous lag in the simple storage inventory screens for the Pokemon, something that has never existed in any Pokemon game ever, and this is a pretty vital component of how the game works. You need to be able to use this system nice and seamlessly, and having it lag out like it does makes things a big pain in the ass. The graphics in the overworld are, of course, very, very obviously kind of terrible, with horrible muddy textures and terrible pop-in and LOD crap. And of course, there's the already infamously bad performance with bad FPS, bad frame rate, drops and stutters and stalls just everywhere. You can glitch through doors into the void. You can be kicked entirely out of the map. There's some movement bugs and sound bugs and animation bugs and lighting glitches and shadow bugs. And there's a cutscene and dialogue they just reuse without change 4 times within one of the story arcs. It just plays the same exact cutscene 4 different times for 4 different parts of the story. Jesus, Game Freak, just spend the freaking money. Just spend the money. Spend the money. The game is a technical mess, and it is an embarrassment that it was released in this state. It smacks of being unfinished, or worse, catastrophic laziness, or worse still, absolute incompetence. But it is also, unfortunately, super fun. And that's the annoying part. That's the really annoying part. For every single one of those 48 hours I took to softly walk my way through all 3 of the main storylines, refine and level my team, explore the map, and catch a few hundred Pokemon for the decks, for every last one of those first 48 hours, I was having fun. I mean, I found the Team Star story stuff a bit uninspired, and the mechanic around their bases a little bit tedious, and I didn't love the gym test gimmick minigame stuff. That was kind of as well. There was one thing just before you fight the E4 that just dick-kicked any sense of momentum that was just so bafflingly stupid it broke my brain on live on stream for a little bit. I was like, what is happening? Why is this happening? Why do this now? What are you doing? Let me do the E4. Just why is this here? And why is it done like this? That is such a stupid way to do that. But it is fair to say that I'm genuinely loving my time with the game. It is fun. Capital F, fun. Most of the new mechanics are fun, or at least interesting to explore. I very much enjoyed the characters and getting to know most of the main cast. There's some real fun stuff there. I had a few good laughs. One of the stories was genuinely emotionally sweet. I'm enjoying doing all the regular Pokemon things, and I fully plan on going completionist with all the tasks, like, of course, completing the Pokedex and getting my shiny charm for future streamed shiny hunts. The multiplayer stuff and the new way they've done the den fights is so much better than Sword and Shield. It's so much smoother, so much more flexible, and quite a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying that. I'm enjoying the trustalization gimmick this time around. I think that opens up some very interesting options and some very interesting combinations and doors of typings and matchups and Pokemon and movesets and things like that. It's there's lots and lots of good stuff in here. Again, they're ideas, people, are not the problem. But it truly is just insulting the way Game Freak, Nintendo, and the Pokemon Company treat the core fans of this series by putting out stuff like this. The technical quality of this game is truly, utterly unacceptable from any game dev, least of all the world's most profitable franchise. I have been saying for years now, for the last several generations now, because of issues just like this, I deeply, earnestly, desperately want a new developer to have a whack at the next Pokemon Core Series RPG title. Game Freak are just not up to the task. They haven't been for a very long time now. I don't know if it's because of their internal company culture, their insistence on sticking with the broken-ass game engine they've been bodging up from what they used on the 3DS stuff, or genuinely just a lack of actual talent or leadership. But Pokemon the game, the franchise, the fan base deserve better than this half-assed pile of incompetence sitting under what is genuinely still a fun game mechanic. Pokemon deserves better attention to detail and better talent behind it. Pokemon is also made within late-stage capitalist engine, and that means even if it is a broken and shitty badly made mess, so long as it sells well, there is no motivation to make it better, to build it better. And it is selling well. Pokemon Sword and Shield were just as broken and shittily produced in various ways. Well, maybe not quite as broken as this, but they were pretty broken. And it outsold every Pokemon generation that had come before it. Easily. And I suspect Scarlet and Violet might at least match those sales, if not exceed them. Apparently they already set record numbers for the number of pre-orders they got. And fact is, no matter how much Pokemon fandom whines and screams about voting with your wallet, they don't actually do that. And even if they did, those communities of terrible, hostile, bullying Pokemon fandoms are a tiny fraction of the real user base. The number of people who buy this game, the people in the, like the subreddits and stuff, you are a fractional number compared to the actual fan base buying these games. You're just the loud ones. And the real user base can and will just keep buying the games, even if they look like arse and run like they were programmed by an alcoholic mongoose. And the sad fact is, the shitty mobile games like the hyper-manipulative Pokemon Go brings in more money than these games do anyway, consistently, because people who play mobile games are stupid and easy to manipulate. So even if it was truly the worst rated Pokemon game of all time, guess what? It wouldn't change anything. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were rated lower, and they still sold nearly 15 million copies, which was only 3 million short of what the original games they were remakes of managed to sell. They were remakes and virtually identical to the original games, except for graphically, and they still sold almost as well as the originals did all those years ago. What was it, a decade? It's also several million more than Pokemon Arceus, a game most of the fandom were super hostile about before launch because it was changing stuff, and now, not even a year later after it launched, I keep hearing people call it their favourite one and how much they wish Scarlet and Violet were more like it in the first place. That's part of the problem too. The Pokemon fan base are always hostile about the new stuff, and then they turn around less than a year later and go, oh no, actually I love that. I might have spoken too soon. Whoops. Hashtag relatable for every video game fandom with a sequel, right? Right. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your input in the down below. And thank you if you've done the thing with the sub and the bell and all that kind of stuff. I am Blunty. Thank you as always to the patrons scrolling up above there. And I will catch you next time.